United Nations adopted its Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities for the Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. India signed the said convention and subsequently ratified the same in 2007. Being a signatory to the convention, India had an international obligation to comply with the said convention, which required entirely new legislation. Hence, the earlier law, the Persons with Disabilities Act 1995, was replaced by the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016, an act that aims to uphold the dignity of every person with a disability in our society and prevent any form of discrimination.
Our country celebrates 75 years of independence. Undoubtedly, a moment of great pride, glory, and joy. Our fresh series of Sansad TV, 75 Years, Laws That Shaped India, is a unique program deliberating different laws that have been adopted during these golden years. I'm your host, Hemant Batra, back with another episode in that series. Today, our focus will be on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. In short, the RPD Act. The act that empowers persons with disability to enjoy the right to equality and life with dignity. In other words, full and effective participation and inclusion in society. To talk about this exceptional law, we have with us a panel of highly distinguished expert guests in the studio. We have with us Senior Advocate J.P. Singh, fondly known as JP amongst the legal fraternity. JP is an accomplished mediator, so much so that he has conducted over 400 mediations and has been appointed mediator in several important and large disputes by the Supreme Court and the Delhi High Court. Welcome, JP.
Welcome
to the studio.
Thank you.
We also have with us an accomplished academician, activist, and author, Professor Vageshwari Deswal. She's an advisor and chancellor nominee in several universities and other academic institutions. She's currently working as a professor at Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. Welcome, Professor. Welcome to the Sansad TV studios. So let's get on with our discussion. And let me come to you first, JP. JP, this law is a lengthy law. You know, the statute, the act is very detailed, comprehensive, and extensive. More than 15 chapters, more than 100 sections. So I thought, let's get to the specifics of the act straight away. Let me ask you a question on which I feel the entire premise and foundation of this act rests, which is the persons with disability. You know, the act actually categorizes persons with disability in three categories. One with benchmark disability, then with long-term disability, and those who are in need of high support. So can you please tell our viewers about these categories and what do they signify?
Thank you, Hemant. But, you know, I want to start with the observations made by one of our judges in a judgment in Delhi High Court, who said this word disability somehow, you know, applying it to, when it comes to children, it really sounds awful.
Yes, you're right.
I mean, we can call those children with special needs, special children.
Or differently able.
Or different. No, because this disable word as such, I find quite jarring in that sense.
Yes,
you know?
it's stigmatizing.
I mean, stigmatizing.
You and I
exactly.
feel so. Yeah.
So therefore, I'd like to begin with that. Yes, when you talk about the act, see, people with benchmark disability, the act says are people who have disability, a specified disability, with more than 40%, not less than 40% of that particular disability. And to find out what kind of disability that we are talking about, those specified disabilities, we have to go to the schedule. The schedule specifies four kinds. I mean, I have tried to divide them into four kinds of disabilities. One, I say physical disability,
Right.
intellectual disability, mental behavior, and disability caused due to chronic neurological conditions or blood disorder.
Right.
And the fifth category is like, when you have multiple disorders.
Right.
So under the physical disability, what the kind of disabilities which are specified are locomotor disability, leprosy cured persons,
I see.
cerebral palsy, dwarfism, muscular dystrophy, acid attack victims. Now coming to visual impairment, blindness, low vision. Coming to hearing impairment, deaf, a person categorized as having more than 17 decibels hearing loss. Then we have hard of hearing people, that's between 60 to 70 decibel hearing loss. Then we have speech and language disability. Children have that too. Then we have intellectual disability, the other category. That is about specific learning disabilities some people have. Autism spectrum disorder. That's what one is also defined. Then mental behavior is about mental illness.
Right.
The fourth disability, which I talked about, chronic neurological conditions such as multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, blood disorder like hemophilia, thalassemia, sickle cell disease. And of course, the multiple disabilities,
The
and more
list
than one.
is quite extensive. now.
Quite a large number
Quite a
of
large number.
categories which are covered.
And then these categories are basically, of the three categories I mentioned, basically belong to the people who fall under these under the schedule.
See, if you see 2S, which when it talks about section 2S, talks about persons with disability, it means a person with long-term physical needs, physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, which they find difficult to interact with the society. Like, they cannot be simply
Right.
equal with the others. And then you have persons with disability having high support needs.
Right.
That again is what is certified. See, section 58
Right.
talks about authorities which certify.
Right.
57
Otherwise,
talks-
anybody could claim that.
Yes.
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 So it has to be certified.
Under section 57, 58 provides for procedure in
Right.
which you can get that certificate
Right.
from those authorities.
Right. Thank
And so once you have that certificate, then you come under one of these
Right. Right.
categories.
Professor Deswal, the Supreme Court and several other high courts in India, belonging to different states, have passed judgments at different points in time, whereby they have protected, enforced rights of differently abled people, and they have actually recognized those rights as constitutional rights or fundamental rights. But now we have this statute which has specific provisions with regard to rights and entitlements to the people who are differently abled. So can you throw some light on those provisions of the law?
The best part about this law is it terms a chapter, the title of the chapter has been given, Rights and Entitlements. See, this is such a progressive move. So far, we have had laws wherein we had chapters entitled Rights of the people for whosoever was the beneficiary of the law. But this law, it has specifically used this progressive term, which is entitlements.
Yes.
See, rights have a very broad dimension. Rights can be natural, they can be constitutional, they are something which are very basic to human existence, some things which cannot be taken away from us. But when we talk about entitlements, it implies that there is a positive obligation on the state to ensure that these things are provided to the beneficiaries for whom these entitlements are meant. So in fact, it obligates the state to provide these positive reinforcements to ensure that rights of persons with disabilities, they are protected and ensured.
Yes.
So the rights that have been provided under this law are like every person who is suffering from any kind of a disability, they have all the rights that have been guaranteed under our constitution. So this is a law which fulfills the constitutional obligations that are given under Article 14, which talks about right to equality.
Yeah, so it corresponds to that, except that it sort of elaborates it in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like when we talk about right to equality, Article 14 is there.
Yes.
Then Article 15, freedom from any form of discrimination. Then we have this, what we call as freedom of movement, freedom of speech and expression that is given under Article 19. Then we have Article 21, which talks about right to live with dignity.
Dignity,
Okay,
yes.
not a mere animal existence.
Right.
So this is a law which promises all those rights and much more. Because see, we are also obligated under the UN Convention on